Is anything happening on your side?
Yes,
Perfect.
I think we are live. Yes.
Oh, amazing.
So, welcome everybody. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Today, I'm sitting here with Gabriel to bring you a very, very interesting topic: how to drive team performance without paying a dollar extra. We are going to share with you some personal experiences. We will talk about misconceptions, broken strategies, and offer instead things that work. So I invite you to spend this hour with us. And yeah, let's dive in. Before we do that, I would say we just quickly introduce ourselves so that you know who are we, what we do, why we are sitting here, and then we go from there. Gabriel, you want to start?
Oh, I always think this is exciting. Like, what perspective? Who am I? Am I going to tell about myself this time? But in this context, it's, I would say, so I am the owner of sankosleadership.com, and we teach small business owners, entrepreneurs, and managers how to build extreme ownership teams. Basically, how to run a team that doesn't need a lot of guidance and management, but can perform anyways, which is pretty awesome. So that's what I do. And I come from a background of 12 years in the military. I'm now living in Spain. And in the military, we have basically 0 ways of giving monetary incentives, which makes this a little bit of a home field advantage for me, because I have to motivate people without giving them $1 more. Literally $1 more.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so exciting. I cannot wait to hear your experiences. So quickly about myself, my name is 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐞. I am a leadership success coach and consultant, founder of Livity, and I'm primarily working with corporate senior leaders in logistics and supply chain industries to help them succeed in their career without sacrificing their personal lives any longer. I do have myself 15 years of corporate experience up to executive management level, so understand pretty well the dynamics, the challenges, the the whole way of working in the corporate environment. So this is what I do and who I am. So let's
Exciting.
dive in.
Yeah, and
Let's
I
dive
think
in.
that's also the beautiful part, right? Because you come from, and correct me if I'm wrong, from the world where it's like it's very much needs to make profit, it needs to make money. It's like oriented against it, right? And I come from the opposite world. Like, people come to you, and then you make the best out of them, and money is just something that you have or don't have, depending on what people give you. So yeah, I think we'll have a good conversation.
Exactly. Because in corporate, you really do not have the empowerment, usually no matter at which level, how high you are in the hierarchy, you don't have that empowerment of just throwing money to the problem, which is a very common thing that people do on the entrepreneurial side of things, right? So what I have experienced in corporate, and maybe I will just start with a little bit of personal story and experience, is that especially talking about one of my latest role where I was in an executive managerial role, the moment I took over my team, which consisted of 20 plus people, I received during the handover from the person who was leading them at that time, I received a very clear um, direction that I get to fire 3 people because they were just labeled, seriously, because they were just labeled stupid. That's it.
That's a
So I
great
was
pitch.
asking that, okay, so what kind of improvement plan has been put in place? What kind of conversations took place? What's the performance review and the way forward for these people? What happened, you know? Nothing. They are just stupid. So you just get to fire them and then hire
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
else. I'm like, okay, leave them with me. And it's a very important part because it
yeah,
goes directly into how do you get these people motivated and performing. And they were by far the worst performers because they didn't get direction, they didn't get guidance, they didn't get any attention, any care whatsoever. It was nothing about money.
yeah.
And long story short, after a couple of months, is one of them turned out who really was not in the right place and I had to let go that person, but other 2 became best performers of the months, one after the other. just in a matter of couple of months, and that was such a joy, like winning a big challenge, that by giving them the right attention, giving them the right support, the resources, guidance that they need, suddenly they got motivated, they felt
Yeah.
responsible, they took ownership, they were thriving and flourishing in the exact same role, in the exact same company. So I think that there is already a little bit of a learning about it.
Yeah, and when you say that, that makes me think of one of my favorite questions. So people come to me and they're like, "Ah, my team are lazy. They don't care about work." And then I'm like, "Well, have you given them any reason to care? Like, why should they
Mhm.
care? And it's such a like, yeah, but they work here. I pay them. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way, right? Like, you need to give people a reason, and like you got to provide them with enough information and enough, like something to actually care about, like you did in the situation. Like, okay, here's the gap. Like, you don't, you're not able to perform. Why is that? A little bit curious, it sounds like. You're trying to figure out what do you need to kind of get going. It's like someone, I don't know, driving a car or something, and they're going really slow, and like, oh, she's a shitty driver. No, the freaking handbrake is locked in place. You take it into a repair shop and
Yeah,
you fix the brake, and then off you go. It's nothing wrong with the car, or it's nothing wrong with the driver. In some sense, that's a shitty
totally.
metaphor, but yeah,
Yeah, totally. And I hate to break it for our audience. I hope some of you are really listening now. I hate to break it for you, but actually, your team, the way how they are acting, behaving, taking or not taking action and performing is a reflection of your leadership. Sure, there is to a certain extent, do you have the right people? And after a certain amount of effort, you will have to ask these questions, potentially, yes. But in general, people are such a beautiful, unique creatures that I really enjoyed that part of the leadership journey I went through to tweak them and play with it with care and attention, like who gets motivated by what? How can I get them do what I want them to do and even enjoy the journey? Like it's obviously not something you do overnight. So many times I remember I was just close to give up. I was about to just say, I'm a failure. I just don't know what I'm doing. Like, I tried everything and it's just not working. And then some magic happened and things started to fall into place. And it's just beautiful when you start seeing that all the effort pays off and it starts coming together.
and I think there's also a bunch of, like, when it comes to engagement and like getting people to care, there's a bunch of really interesting studies. I remember one particularly, which is about, like, can you just pay someone and they will do more of what the work you want to do, like just raise their
Mhm.
salaries. And it's like, basically the conclusion was something like this: like, if the work is very simple, it's like your work is to press a button, and you pay someone more, they will press it faster. But if you want somebody to do something creative, or like, to make something or use their brain, like, it monetary incentives is really difficult, because it makes you like, okay, how do I play the game? How do I like move towards the money the fastest? It's not about that, like, explorative sense where you kind of like discover, which is totally different. It's driven by something inside, right? Your curiosity to figure something out. And it's really hard to put money towards that. So I think that's to our benefit, right? So then we're like, okay, maybe monetary
Mhm.
isn't super effective in certain cases. Then the question is, well, what is? Like, what should we do, right? So that
Yeah.
makes me think, like, what, in your case, in your story here, what did you do? What made that happen? What was the thing, or the things?
Hmm. Yeah, the personal attention. So
Mm,
first of all, I really sat down with every single individual regularly and I practiced active listening.
yeah,
Instead of just pouring on them, this is what I want you to do, this is how you got to do this is what I want as an outcome, and just giving the laundry
KPI,
list of
KPI,
what is it
KPI.
I
Yeah,
want. I just asked a couple of open-ended questions and
yeah,
listened because funny enough that most people, everybody has a certain something unique that motivates them. And most of the time, it's not money. And this is one of the biggest misconception I kept hearing back in corporate. Most people, most managers really believe that their people just want money. Their people just want the raise, they just want the higher paycheck, and I cannot give that to them, so they will not perform, so I'm screwed.
Yeah.
If you would just know that this is the probably not the last, but number 5 and above thing that they really want. Because think about yourself when you were in the position of being an individual contributor, just step back. You have been there, I'm sure. Then what was motivating you? What were you really hungry for? I remember, and I just applied the same to my team. I just wanted to be acknowledged. That's it. A thank you, a very simple thank you, costs you nothing, goes a very long way. People just really want that their effort, their hard work, their extra mile, what they are willing to do for the company, for the results, for the department, for you as a leader, is being appreciated. That's it. Just thank them honestly and make them feel that they do matter. And
Yeah.
it just reminds me on the 3 very basic, most fundamental thing that all human beings want. That's just simply being seen, being heard, and to feel that they matter. And if you keep these 3 simple things in front of you all the time with all the actions, then you will see the results. So, coming back to your question, listening to each and every one of them and really hearing them out. What are they missing? How can I support them? What do they require from my side so that they can perform their job at their best? Even asking them for ideas. What do they see in the department that I might not see, or when I was joining new, right? What requires attention? And it doesn't mean that I touch everything, but I take it back for evaluation so they are heard.
Yeah.
And putting this all together comes out pretty nicely, building trust with the team. I had a method of having a daily huddle meeting with my team in all my leadership roles, and that worked magic. We just had a 5 to 10 minutes quick meeting every single morning, and I was attending as many of them as I just could myself. So I was one of the team. I was not the hierarchical, I don't know, a little bit above them. And I never used that kind of a power. I always made them feel that I'm one of them and we are here as a team and we gotta make this happen together. And having these daily mini team building meetings where we find out who has completed what the previous day, who has what on the list on the same day, who is like just completely overwhelmed and may require some support so the team can jump in for each other. This did magic, honestly. So there are many, many small things that you can do when you have your performance review conversations. It's usually mandatory once a year in corporate organizations. I would definitely recommend having that conversation at least every quarter with your team members, at least just in a couple of minutes level, and dare to ask for feedback. Learn how to give proper feedback because many people also don't know how to give feedback in a way that it will be considered as a feedback and not as a judgment. And dare to ask for feedback. How do you perceive me as your manager? What am I doing where? What could I do more of? And what am I lacking? What do you see that I may not see that could make me an even better manager? Ask
Yeah.
and you shall receive. Now over
No,
to you.
yeah, that's really good. And it's so interesting because there's a bunch of really exciting things to unpack in what you just said. And I'm going to name a few things. And I think one
Mhm.
super, super, super vital tool for me has been solving the problem of people saying it's fine. So how are you doing? Oh, it's good. It's fine. I'm like, oh, great. It's a useless, like as a leader, it's like a useless answer, right? It's like, it's fine. Okay, cool. Because then it
Yeah.
means I have to kind of like interpret what they look like. They look a little bit tired, so they're probably a little bit tired or whatever. So we together forbid the word of saying okay. Like if someone asks you how you are, we had to like explain how we are. Like, okay, I'm actually like I'm a little bit tired because I slept bad, or like I'm really excited today. That's a good answer to how you are, right? And as a leader, I'm like, okay, I'm getting understanding of my team now, but it's super difficult. Like it's very uncomfortable, but it's really valuable because now everybody knows how we are, right? And if you know how you are, you can start kind of balancing out. Like if you're tired today or you're weak today, we will cover for you. And that's where the teamwork gets in. That's where the engagement when it comes to like I'm working with people, not just for people, right?
Exactly.
So and to make it even more simple, it's just to do like give people like the sense of to give them the sense that you're listening to them, like you said, which is very important, I believe. Ask them just very simple, like, okay, from 0 to 10, how are you? What's your energy level? And they can give you a number, which is way easier. And then you can see it doesn't matter the number, but you'll see usually they report a 7. And I'm not saying Excel spreadsheet. I'm saying talk to your people. And they will say 7. And you're like, oh, I thought you were a 5. And then you will tomorrow say 4. And then you realize, oh, they're a little bit more tired today, which is fine. But that's a super good way to kind of not only you to get the feedback of how your team how they're doing, but also for them to, make themselves heard and you to be able to show that you listen to them. Because the one lesson that I've learned is that people don't want you to do what you tell them. They want you to listen to their ideas. So if you listen to their ideas, like honestly, even the shitty ones, that's super. So people are like, oh, this guy listens. They will understand that you can't implement everything that they tell you, but they will appreciate that you listen, like honestly listen. So those are really good. I like that. And it doesn't have to be more complicated. So listening is super important. Give them what you said. Give them some praise, honest praise. Like if you think they did a good job, let them know and be specific. Don't just like, oh, good job.
Yes.
Like, what does that even mean? Like tell them what they did good. Because if you tell them what they did good, you cannot have like positive feedback inflation. When people just say good job, good job, good job, and then by the end of the day you don't care because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you tell them what they actually did good, then you can just be specific every time, and it's really valuable for them every time.
Yeah, everybody loves that, right? Like, just again, think about yourself. Put yourself into the shoes of your team members, and you will have the answers pretty fast rather than just being where you are and keep judging them and creating stories that are probably also not true. Another thing that I used to apply was coaching techniques as a leader. So whenever people came to me for advice, hey, we have these challenges with XYZ customer, what do you suggest we do? I never just gave them the answer on a silver plate. This is what you got to do and go and get it done. But I asked back the question, what do you think you could do? What are the options out there? So that I made them think by just asking back that question and maybe a couple of follow-up questions. And by that, they could come up with the idea of the solution, which usually worked very well. I mean, they are thinking humans, like let's respect that for a moment, right? And then let's not forget as well that the moment they are finding the solution themselves, trust me, it will stick with them. They will not come to you with the exact same question again. When you tell them this is what you're gonna do, they will ask it the same thing 10 more times because it just doesn't stick. I ask, I get the answer. I ask, I get the answer. Right?
Yeah.
But when they find the answer themselves, you remember because you learn so much more with that approach.
And also a way of training your team to kind of like, hey, if this, like the person most close to the problem should probably solve it. So it's like I find it, I kind of fix it, and then when I report back, hey, we had this, but it's fixed. Like that's the dream outcome, right? But if you all every time have like someone at your team is like, I will have a problem, they come up to you, and then you have to discuss it, and then somebody goes to solve it. It's like everything becomes slow. You become that little like friction in everything. So for me, like that extreme ownership team is like when people see something, they're able to take the initiative and fix it. not because they will make more money, but because they're part of like this thing that wants to do good stuff, right? And they feel pride when they solve things, not when they specifically do something to just make more money. They like to solve things. They want to solve it. So
Exactly.
that's some really
So
important
what
stuff.
are some other experiences that come up for you? I'm so curious to hear some specifics from the military. I mean, it's so exciting to bring the world of military into the world of whether entrepreneur or corporate leadership.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I've come from this world where it's like you get paid, whatever. There's no room for negotiating high salary. There's no room for any bonuses. There's no room for anything. And the work is usually, it's boring. It's dangerous. It's like takes all your free time. Like and you can quit whenever you want. It's not like you're in Sweden. It's not like you're in a contract where you can't leave. So it's like literally there are no reason to stick around. Even though that we were able to build this team who did 3 deployments together. Most people just do one because it's an exciting adventure. You go to a foreign country, you dispose of some bombs, and you feel like a hero, and then you go home, and then you're like, oh shit, that's too much. I'll never do it again. We were able to build a team who wanted to do that 3 or even 4 times actually, which is very unique in that situation. And I think what we did was we were able to figure out what is it that actually gets you excited. Like what here is it that makes you a little bit excited about life? And it's not about asking questions, because most people don't really know. Like if you ask your random team member, hey, what is it that drives you? They'll be like, maybe they'll give you an answer, but it's probably not it. So what we did instead was that me and my second in command, we would like, okay, let's put our team in different situations and see how they react. And if they react with like excitement and they're like, oh, wow, Frederick here, he really wanted to solve that task. I wonder what. But we didn't do like a university analysis. We were just like, here's our best assessment. Let's put them in a similar situation and see if we can figure it out. And then every time there was something that got them excited, we're like, okay, we're trying to figure it out. So an example that happened was that we had an assignment to send. We had to fill a position of training a medical team that were supposed to go on a deployment to West Africa. And I'm like, I don't have time to do it. My second in command didn't have time to do it. And the guy who's really good at medical stuff, he's like, I hate teaching. I don't like standing in front of people. It's just like, it's not something I care about. So like, okay, we're kind of stuck, right? We could force him to do it. It's like, hey, this is just a task, just go do it, which is not really how I prefer to do things. Or I could reframe it in a way where he could see the value for something that he cared about. So I'm like, okay, I know this guy now fairly well. What if I could reframe this in a way where he feels like he is being helpful and supportive and being, moving someone in a direction which he thinks is important. And for him, care is a really big driver. Like if he can show care to someone else, that's like his thing. Probably why he's a medic, right? So we're like, hey, you know what? If you go do this, you will help them have a much safer deployment. You will increase their chances of, staying safe, taking care of each other. And then you see it's like, bing. And suddenly there's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll go there and I will overcome my fears of speaking in front of people and I will do this. And now he's one of the biggest teachers of that school, of the medical school. He does that all the time now. And it's like, I paid nothing. It's just figure out what it is that drives people, right? It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
It's like a cool experiment. Like anyone can take it on like a challenge. Let me just figure out more about my people, because remember, everyone is unique and individual.
Yeah.
And what just comes to my mind also that also you can tap into the personality profiles if you have any kind of possibility to do something for your team, including yourself, under the note of personality types, you will recognize a lot of differences because we are all unique. We like to perceive the world from our own standpoint, and we like to think that the way how we see the world is how the world is, and this is what should be the normal for everybody. It's just not the case.
No.
And the moment we are able to step into that humble position and respect that everybody is unique and everybody has a certain priority style, whether it's more a supportive, somebody who really thrives on supporting other people, or whether it's someone who is very much driven by results and just rigidly focusing on performance, or whether it's someone who is data and facts driven. Like, there are really many possibilities. And if you take the effort to pay attention to this, you will also quickly identify, or a lot quicker identify, who is driven by what and how you can motivate the people differently and in a unique way. So leadership is just not about your title and not about your paycheck. I know very well that it feels great that now I got this title, now I got this paycheck, this is who I am, and we embrace this whole label of the title, and we get so obsessed with it. But hey, it's about humans who you are responsible for. And it's probably very similar to raising kids. I used to compare that to this a lot, although I don't have kids myself, but that's what I imagine
Have a dog.
about it, right? Like, because they will follow you. Like, whatever you do, they're gonna follow you. And that's the beauty of being a leader, that you create a, no matter what kind of culture you are in, each and every leader will create their own mini culture within the culture just by their own being. To prove that, look around in your own organization and see how people will point out that, oh, I'm working for this guy. I would prefer to rather go to that other department because that manager is so much better. Remember that people don't leave organizations, they do leave managers. So every leader is totally responsible for the team's morale, the level of trust that's created, the culture, the performance, the everything that comes together. And there is so much you can do if you take the effort and the courage as well to develop yourself, to grow, to learn about these things, because there is plenty of material out there. And I know it's tough because the pressure is high and there is so much requirements. But then I also put it back on you, because how do you set your boundaries and how do you navigate your own responsibilities? And I know you are an amazing expert in delegation, which is such an important aspect here. How do you learn to delegate stuff? How do you organize yourself? How do you schedule your times? What productivity hacks or tips are you using and implementing in your life so that you can get so much more done in a lot less time? So much you can do, right?
Yeah.
Instead of complaining and blaming and just being in that victim mode, like, oh, poor me, and opening a pity party that poor me, I need to do this and that and that, and I just work 24/7 and I'm not getting recognized and my team is not doing the thing, and laundry list, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is
And,
no need for that. Take the ownership.
yeah. And I think what you say there, in my head, it's all comes down to one thing, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
job as a leader, whether it's middle manager or you're the entrepreneur, or you're the owner, whatever, it doesn't care. Like, your main job is to lead. Like, if you're doing something right now that isn't leading, it's like, oh, I'm filling out an admin. Your first question should be like, who else or what else should do this? Because
Yeah.
people want you to be the expert at leading. That's why they put you there, or why you ended up there. No matter how you ended up there, like, you should lead stuff. Like, and if you think you're too low on the level of that, I would argue that you're wrong. Like, people want great leaders. They don't want great administrators. They want you to lead them.
Yes.
So focus on that, develop those skills, and then it becomes fun. And then you're like, oh, here's a task. I'm like, oh, that's a shitty task. Well, wonder if I could reformulate this and make it into something that they want to do. And then you send it off. Like, oh, people engage. People are excited. People stick around 10 years in your business or on your team. Because even if side companies wave their dollar bills, they like it with you. And that's when it's fun. That's when it's really exciting to lead. That's when you're building a team, not a bunch of people in the same office or a virtual office, whatever.
Yeah, totally. And this is where the quality of the questions will also define the quality of the team and of the life and of the leadership that you are driving, actually. Because if you block yourself, your own mind and way of thinking by thinking and saying that, oh, I just cannot do this, or I just don't have the opportunity, or I just get to figure it out myself and poor me, then your brain cannot help it. It will block and it will already categorize that, okay, so you cannot, you are right. Henry Ford said that too. Whether you can or you can't, you are
You're right.
right. And that's very true. The moment you ask powerful questions and start wondering about how could I find the solution? By the way, to every single problem, there is a solution. That's just a universal law. How could I find a solution that will enable me, whatever I desire to achieve, and bring me the results and build the trust, help me build the trust with my team, and let them perform at the highest or keep them motivated? I wonder, what is the solution? What could I do? And the moment you ask these type of questions, the world of possibilities will open up, because your brain by nature will go on duty and start searching for the answers, and just trust it will come to you. It will come to you.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's really nice.
Mm,
Hey, we just hit the 30-minute mark, and I know you and I can continue for 10 hours of this, but
absolutely. We
so we
totally
said
can.
that we would create a checklist, or not a checklist, but a list of ideas on how you could do this, like how to drive team performance without paying an extra dollar. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh shit, this is interesting, but I don't remember what they said, then we will create a little list of things, like a summary of this chat. And if that's something that's interesting, just comment, and so we know where to send that little list. And we'll add in the summary, we'll add in some things that we think is valuable, and then you can pick and choose whatever fits your situation. So you could start driving engagement and creativity and all the fun stuff that makes leading exciting.
Absolutely. So just either comment summary or hit any of us with a DM, and we will be happy to send it your way so that you can really look it through and reflect in more depth. What is it that maybe you are already doing and applying? And what is it that you could be doing? And if you have more than one, then which is the one which you think that could bring you the fastest and biggest results? So you start with that one, but don't get overwhelmed with the 25 things we just touch based upon. Start with one. And once you implemented that, pick the next one and go from there, because it will go a long way. And obviously, it all takes time. So respect that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Exciting.
Such a great conversation. I really enjoy that. And I know, knowing us, we could probably keep going for 3 more hours, as you said,
Yeah.
just on the same topic. But I think it's probably the time to also wrap.
Yeah, it is.
So, yes. Yeah, so thank you for everybody who tuned in and listened to us. Or if you are listening to replay, it's available on both our pages and both LinkedIn and YouTube as well. So please feel free to reach out to us, and also feel free to send us any of the questions or topics that you might be struggling with as a leader, and we will be more than happy to bring those in future sessions, talk about those, dive deeper, bring more content around, because we are absolutely here to serve. We are here to help you lead easier, lead better, and achieve results that you only dreamed about so far.
Sounds pretty
Anything
good.
on a final note, Gabriel, you would like to add?
No. And well, yes, I guess leadership can be super fun. It can
Oh,
be hard,
yes.
and it can be super fun, but it should be super fun. So if you're not feeling that leadership is super fun right now, check the list of what the things we've talked about and implement some, and I'm pretty sure things will be more fun, which is I like fun.
I
Cool.
couldn't agree more. Yeah, cool stuff. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day or evening wherever you are. And we will be back soon with another topic, with another session and more deep dive.
Great. Ciao.
See you all. Bye.